Of course.
What's it like working with professionals?
What is it like working with professionals? Because you won't find him here. Hey, everybody. Welcome to What Drives Us, episode 380 for August 19th, 2020. Yes, that very smooth and professional start means it's time for this week's episode of What Drives Us. And I already said that, but I'm just acknowledging that it was a kind of a clunky start. It's been kind of a clunky thing, and hopefully the show will go smoother. Let me introduce our cast of characters, and we shall go forth boldly. My co-host and friend about town, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Welcome to 2020. Nothing is smooth this year.
Oh, man.
Oh, God, yes. That's
Plague squirrels in South Tahoe.
Yeah, the bubonic plague, as if 2020 didn't have enough problems with the pandemics.
367 fires?
Yeah. And speaking of 367 fires and extreme heat, our friend in Northern California, Georgia McKenzie.
Yeah. Welcome to the Hellmouth. As you notice, I have the lovely orange glow of being surrounded by about 2 different fires in my neighborhood. I'm safe, and so you guys stay safe.
Hopefully the garden is staying safe.
It's covered under a delightful pile of ash, so either I'm making petrified plants for the archaeologists to find later, or it'll be really good for the soil.
Good fertilizer, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of good fertilizer, I like to think of him as our friend in the Great White North, Mr. Mark Coughlin.
That's
all I got, dude.
Fantastic segue. I really appreciate that.
I am dancing as hard as I can tonight, okay?
Oh my gosh. Well, we got no ash falling from the sky, so it's all good up here. So welcome to the show, everyone.
What about plague-infested squirrels?
No plague-infested squirrels.
We've
had that border closed for a while.
Yeah, you do have a member of the Ford family still in politics, though.
And I have to say, he's doing pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, we're not going there. We're not going there. Our friend in the upper left corner of America, Mr. Patrick Connor.
Hello. I want to show off this shirt. Look at that.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
What? Swag.
Yeah. Much like this show, the logo leans a little to the left. Your left, my right. It's not quite centered, but hey, that's okay. Good times.
It's shiny.
I think that's just the light.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just look at there's a highlight. Wow. You have something I don't even have. I mean,
you put this on the store. So,
I did. And we're actually
your cause.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Last and certainly not least, our expert on superchargers in the Mid-Atlantic region, which is not on fire, at least right now, Mr. Casey Green.
Not physically. Metaphorically, yes.
There is that.
Yeah.
There is that. Well, we have a big show. Let's get right into it and start with, oddly enough, Tony Schaefer. We have a topic left over from last week, and it's not really important that you know that, other than I thought this was such a great topic that we should talk about it. So, Tony, the mic.
Yeah. So we knew this was going to be a hot topic, but it is a topic that we should talk about regularly. And this is why we dropped it last week, because we ran out of time and we wanted to make sure the topic had ample time. And the topic is, I saw a recent article in Forbes that just straight up said, should I buy an electric car or a hybrid now? And I'm thinking, we have always, tried to be on the forefront. We're always pushing for electric vehicles, for hybrids, for plug-in hybrids. But, there are always those people who are not cutting edge, not bleeding edge, and maybe not as up on the technology or the pros and cons and ins and outs of all the different kinds of vehicles. So I was hoping that using the Forbes article as just a stepping off point, we could get into a discussion for people who might have stumbled upon us talking about the advantages, disadvantages of the different kinds of vehicles. Now, the first thing I want to do is a very brief and quick overview of the three different types of battery vehicles. There's, we all know the internal combustion engine, we refer to ICE, ICE, and then hybrids are internal combustion engine vehicles with batteries to supplement and support the engine. They're not meant to drive very long distances in battery power. More often than not, the battery is primarily used for low speeds, not very long distances, and engine will turn off when the car comes to a complete stop and can accelerate a little bit under the battery power. A plug-in hybrid takes that concept one step further. If the battery is larger, you can plug in the car at night or anytime and fully charge the battery, which is an advantage it has over hybrids. You can't directly charge the battery. The battery gets charged by the engine or by dynamic braking, regenerative braking. But the plug-in allows you to plug in and always start with a full battery. Typically, a plug-in hybrid has motors that will propel the car under battery power at a higher speed. It'll differ from model to model and can go much farther than a standard hybrid because the battery is much larger. Again, that will differ from model to model. And then that brings us to a fully electric vehicle, which has no internal combustion engine whatsoever and is fully powered by the battery, which is multitudes larger than a plug-in or a hybrid. And again, does the whole thing under electricity. So we all know that, but again, I want to make sure that we are introducing what we're going to be talking about to people who may be looking at this for the first time. And I'm going to throw this out. So I know that almost everyone here, there's some Tesla owners. I can see 3. I know Georgia has an electric vehicle. Russell had a Prius. And
actually going to buy another Prius.
And going to buy another Prius, and I have a plug-in Prius. So we do represent all 3 of the different, the different types of vehicles.
And I have an ICE motorcycle.
What? Did you say electric motorcycle?
No, I said ICE.
Oh, an ICE motorcycle. Okay. I think Georgia is the only person among us who went straight from internal combustion engine to electric vehicles. Is that right? Did you?
No.
Okay. At one point, I thought it came up that you didn't have a hybrid. You went on.
I would want. I still have gas. I'm one of those people who's probably going to have to wait until somebody is selling a very reasonably priced used electric vehicle. Remember, poor working class here.
Okay, well that's good. I mean, hey, I've gone from 3 hybrids to a nice motorcycle, and now I'm gonna look at buying another used Prius. So
yeah. Before we jump into the general conversation, just a couple notes on the article specifically. One, the guy who wrote it, I think was pretty fair about the pros and cons of each category, which is a really good thing, because this guy has been, if you look at some of his older articles, was really down on EVs. And so it seems like he's seen the light and said, hey, look, there really is good cases, and there are people where battery electric vehicles can meet their needs. And so that was one point. The second one was, often he'll say hybrid and he was lumping hybrid and plug-in hybrid together. And as Tony mentioned, they are different. One you can plug in and one you can't, hence the name plug-in hybrid. And you get better fuel mileage with a hybrid, but with a plug-in hybrid, depending on your use case, you might be in electric mode for 99+%, depending on your use case. Again, if you want to drive cross country with it, great, you can fill up with gas. But Mark, for example, you had a Volt, and what was your electric use to gas use while you had your Volt?
It's currently still over 97% electric.
Right. So so that's a huge difference between a plug-in hybrid and a hybrid, and just lumping them both under hybrid because they have that in the name, I think is a miscarriage of justice.
Right. That is an excellent point. Casey, you had mentioned you had a Volt
A pair of them, yeah.
and used how much gasoline?
I think lifetime I might have used 100 gallons between the two of them, over 100,000 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 1,000 miles per gallon.
1,000 miles per gallon.
1,000
The 2012 I actually went 7 months without putting any gas in it once.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
And
big
we're
difference.
recording, like Russell said, on August the 19th in 2020, and I had a long drive the day after Thanksgiving, driving back from Thanksgiving holiday, and after that I filled up my tank. So that was at the end of November, and I still have about a quarter tank of that left, and that's including me trying to burn the gas before it goes bad in my tank. So yeah, I mean, like Patrick said, so this is the point where, hybrids are a great stepping stone for people who want to reduce their gasoline consumption. They might be getting out of a car that gets 30 miles per gallon, and they might jump up to 55 or 60 miles per gallon.
Tony, excuse me.
Yeah.
I want to interject one thing, because I get where you're coming from, and ideally everyone's driving zero emissions vehicles. Everybody in this panel probably would like, yay, zero emissions vehicles. But let's be clear, if you move from an ICE car, from a gas car, internal combustion engine vehicle, to a hybrid, it's a step up. It's great, because now you're partial zero emissions, you're burning less fuel, you're polluting less. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
As we've often said on the show, the idea that the perfect is the enemy of the good, and we want to take positive steps wherever we can. So I don't know that it's like a step up from like gas to hybrid to plug-in hybrid to electric. Getting off the gas into any of those other options is great. The question is, what's right for you? What works? What can you afford?
Right.
Is that too strange?
No, yeah, no, of course. That's awesome. I went from a Buick Regal, 25 miles per gallon, to a Prius.
Did you say
55,
Buick
60 miles per
Regal?
gallon. Yes, I had a Buick Regal.
You don't look 70.
I looked less 70 15 years ago.
Wow.
God.
Yeah.
Tony,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
known you for
Russell.
15 years and I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, it was a Barca Lounger. Yeah, it was a big, comfortable.
Well, back in the 90s, I had an old Cutlass Supreme Brougham. It was an enormous velour couch on wheels. It was amazing.
But yeah, I mean, but you're absolutely right. I mean, stepping out of something like that into anything is a step up. And my gas consumption got cut in half just by going to the Prius. It was a 2004 Prius. And then there was always, like, all of us, we talk about the gateway drug, the step, the slope.
Mm-hmm.
And it's now that I've had this car for so long, what's next? What if I started every morning with a fully charged battery? Give me a car that allows me to do that. And yeah, there's availability, there's use case, there's cost, and there's also your ability to charge or not. And that was one of the things that comes up in the article. And in other articles, I then read other things, comparing in some situations, if you have an enclosed garage, pull into your garage and you can plug. If you're parking outside, if you have a shared parking lot, or if in some cases people in condominiums have to park and they're on the other side of the parking lot from where their residence is, I don't know that I trust my neighbors with a cord plugged into my car overnight. So I want to throw that out to you guys. What are your situations, and do you have to overcome any situations to charge?
You're right with the multifamily. So right now they're renovating the parking garage here at this apartment, and the crew uses the same extension cable that I use. And so I've been just supercharging it all. That way I don't find my rather pricey extension cable missing one morning or run over, whatever.
It becomes a question of as you had mentioned, what are you using the car for? So what kind of distances are you traveling? What's your budget? because there certainly are a wide variety of pricing based on what way you're going to go. And do you have the capability of charging it if you choose a car that needs to be charged? Those three things have to be answered by any consumer that's moving from a gas vehicle up into the hybrid, plug-in, or electric. And then the other thing is if you are graduating from a gas car, the one thing that you've got to understand is that is with the use case of how you're using it is how comfortable are you with charging it? How comfortable are you going a distance and maybe charging and then continuing on a distance? Is that in the cards for you? Is that something that you're going to do or not do on a regular basis? You've got to weigh those things, and then it becomes a question of how comfortable you are performing those tasks as to what vehicle you choose. But what I will tell you is that if you only step into a hybrid or you step into a plug-in, after using that vehicle for a number of months, it'll set into you that, you know what, I can go full electric because I understand how it works. Coming from a gas car first, you may be a little bit tentative about going, to a full electric. But I would say from experience that I've had, once you understand how energy works in a hybrid and a plug-in hybrid, you can quickly figure out that, yes, I could use a full electric car going forward, because it's just something that you learn after you have the car. You understand how energy is used. You understand how much energy is used on your drive on a typical day, on a typical week. And all those things all combine into that you can move into full electric after you've had a taste of it.
Yeah, and like you said, with the shared parking situation, obviously a hybrid, you never have to worry about where to get more fuel unless the gas stations are scarce where you are. The plug-in hybrids are actually the best of both worlds if you don't have regular charging available, because say there aren't gas stations readily available, you can plug in every night. Or say you don't have access to the spot plug every night, then you can run on gasoline all the days where you don't get that prime spot. So,
yeah, well, we used to say that we always have Plan B traveling with us.
Yes.
So if you couldn't charge, that gasoline motor could turn on anytime you needed it and get you to a place where you could charge.
For sure.
No,
I
a
think
friend of the
that's the
show.
critical thing.
I'm sorry, Jordan.
Go on ahead.
Oh, as I say, Dr. Fusco, friend of the show, used to always refer to plug-in hybrids as the worst of both worlds.
Yeah.
He always took the opposite approach. He's a battery half empty kind of guy. He used to say, if you're driving on electricity, you're hauling around an internal combustion engine that's not being used. And if you're running on engine, you're hauling around a battery that's not being used. So he took a worst of both worlds approach.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
Like my Volt would always, like, quarter mile from the house, downhill, kick over the gas engine. And it's like, you couldn't hold that? Dip in the reserve? Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm gonna step up and say that kind of attitude, especially because I live in a semi-rural area, and we're not going to have charging stations around for everybody who needs it. And if you head further out into farm country, it would be great to get more people out of older cars and older trucks. And for them, a hybrid is going to be critical. So, but until we have the infrastructure where even, God help us all, one of the towns where I have to drive through sometimes, and I have to be very careful so I don't run over the chickens that run loose. They're not going to have a charging station. And if somebody there wants to get rid of their old gas guzzler and poison smoke emitting vehicle and upgrade to something, I want them to have the option of a hybrid. I don't want the naysayers to make them doubt that the hybrid is a good opportunity for them. So to me, that kind of attitude, like, I love the article in the sense that it took somebody who was very skeptical, and he definitely changed his mind after using it. And we need more articles like that, because we have a lot of people for whom they at least know that when their truck breaks down, they can repair what needs to be fixed. They can get gas in their town. They don't have to figure out a way to charge it just because, and if they have to haul stuff long distances, they're not going, well, how far can I go on a charge? And is there a station? And how do I plot this out? They know that they can kick over to gas if they need to, and they can have a fuel efficient vehicle that works well for a sustainable future. And they don't have to think about it too much. They don't have to worry about it too much. So to me, I understand what Fachi is saying, and I understand the whole question of EV versus hybrid. But for some people, I think the hybrid is just going to be more practical until we have really long distance battery vehicles that are affordable for people who are honestly living on margins.
I'd like to see that candy come out. The one that we talked about, was it last week? Week before?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that one.
Yeah. It's like the iMe, but a little bit safer feeling.
Yeah, if you do have the the charging infrastructure, if you're in a place that you can charge, or if you have a house with an enclosed garage, attached enclosed garage where you can charge at home on a regular basis, and if you do drive more than 50, 60 miles a day, or maybe not every day, but maybe a few days, a few days a week, and if you can, then maybe you should consider an electric vehicle. It all comes down to, like we were saying, it comes down to your use case. And if you want to go full electric, but you typically drive farther than the range of a plug-in vehicle, if you do have the means to keep it topped off, then you should consider an electric vehicle. That will fit your use case.
Right. If you buy something that doesn't fit your use case, you're going to be very unhappy with it. And it's just like if you bought a sports car to move furniture, you're not going to be happy with it. Or if you bought a truck and went to the track and why am I getting lapped so much? I mean, just you have to buy the right vehicle for your needs. And Georgia especially we've all kind of said this, that I think Russell's quote was, the perfect shouldn't be the enemy of the good. I've seen way too many forums where people who are EV only and everything else is crap. And that's just not the way to bring people into the tent. And that's what we want. We want better fuel economy. We want better air quality. We want less reliance on foreign crude oil. We don't want our government embroiled in the Straits of Hormuz and dealing with countries that would kill us if they could. I mean, it's just, there's so many reasons not to just to hate on good solutions because it's not pure enough for you. It's really a bad attitude.
Yeah, and the garage is still a luxury even with the electric cars. It makes it so that you don't have to worry about somebody coming up and borrowing your charge cord, for instance. But if you're in a multifamily and they've got stations installed, or they've got exposed plug, you can plug in your port and travel connector. If you've got a carport, as long as your electrical outlet is weatherproof, then it'll be fine.
There you go.
So I don't want to dedicate the entire show to this, but like I said, I have to try to take into consideration that we are speaking about these topics as people who have lived them for many years, and we want to try to always remember that there are people learning this for the first time. So we wanted to take a few minutes and just talk about some of the pros and cons, and we just scratched the surface on the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all the considerations and all the technology and all this stuff. And continue doing your research, but again, buy the car that's going to meet your use case and meet your needs, and guarantee that you'll be very happy as long as you you make an intelligent and a wise decision. And hey, like Patrick said, if we're consuming less foreign oil, then hey, welcome aboard. It's a great feeling.
There you go. Well, thank you for that. Let's go to our next story about an electric vehicle. Georgia, tell us. I don't even know how do I say it. the name?
Zos?
It's
I-
XOS. Yeah.
XOS.
I have no idea how you
I'm
say
gonna
that.
go with the old name because Thor Trucks is easier than Zos.
Yes.
XOS. I don't know. What the hell, man? All right.
Brand names. All right.
New name. So, thanks to California, which we did talk about later on, earlier. Thanks to California saying that they want more than half of all commercial trucks being sold to be zero emissions by 2035. Zos? Thor? Okay. XOS? Whatever it is. They have managed to raise about $20 million to scale up production to meet that need. And what's cool is that these are fully electric Class 6 trucks. They're medium duty, they're commercial trucks, and they're gonna be right here in California. So it's the X platform trucks, which are currently being test piloted in Southern California by UPS and Loomis. And they're also developing a Class 8 heavy duty truck, the ET1, which should go into production at the end of this year. And I don't know, I'm kind of excited. These are really cool looking trucks, although they don't look a lot like your standard trucks, at least not to me. And I think this is a great development for anybody who is looking at not just the cost of transit for our for produce and durable goods as they crisscross our nation, but also the environmental costs of transit, because that's something that we have to kind of factor in. It's one of the reasons behind movements to eat local and buy local, because we want to limit the amount of greenhouse gases our food and our durable goods cost when it comes to our shopping. Well, if we're going electric, that's going to reduce it a whole heck of a lot. And that's great news for anybody who shops and wants to shop sustainably. So what do you guys think about that? Because I can't really speak to most of the battery stuff. I'm not that kind of person.
More batteries.
Yeah, I think it's
Of
great,
course you do.
especially if these are going to be used for urban delivery, to have them zero emission. That's the going through population centers, they're going where people live and work and eat. Great that they're not going to be diesel. That's awesome.
Mhm.
I mean, it makes sense as an operator. It's less cost for your fuel, less cost for maintenance. You don't have to worry about your drivers idling because it's 110 degrees out Fahrenheit. Because it will put a draw on the system, but it's not going to be as bad as having to have a separate APU to run the ACs if you want them to idle, or worse than burning up all the fuel you were planning if they're running the main diesel engine because you didn't give them an APU.
Right, and we know that the cost of transportation factors into the cost of the goods. So yeah, for all those reasons that Casey just said, if we can bring down the cost of transportation, that should transfer into a lower cost of goods for the end consumer.
I'm going to toss it out there because to me, like, I was wondering if the skateboard chassis that they're talking about in the design, now we've all seen the multiple cars, super long trucks, and I'm wondering if they're going to be ever developing anything like that. But can they do that on the skateboard chassis style design, or would that have to be a whole different type of design?
Well, on the Class 8, they'd be able to, because it has to be able to pull up to 80,000 pounds, or whatever the regs are that allow you to put tandems like that.
Yeah, I certainly hope the skateboard design that when they hook it up to a heavy load, it doesn't literally just rip the top off of the skateboard. I hope they've factored that in.
All that is a little bit of engineering and material science. So as long as they haven't cheaped out in that area.
Right.
Oh,
There's some very strong
don't know
tape for that.
I
do want to give a quick
let's
shout
not
out. Sorry, Georgia. I didn't need to speak over you.
No. Well, I was just wondering if you guys wanted me to share the screen on this one.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's see.
So you can see it, because I actually think it's a super cool design, but
Is it not letting you
I don't
share?
know.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Georgia.
No, it's
let
not
me-
letting me. Fine, keep your
And
stupid screen sharing.
Now you can share. Sharing is caring.
I mean, look at that.
Oh, that is
There you
Like a
go.
snub nose. It's like, it looks like a transformer, honestly.
The bottom part, that's where they put the bodies, so the Soylent Green comes out the back, right?
Yes.
Is that what that is?
Yes.
Kinda
that
looks
is
like a
exactly
Nah,
what
nah,
that
nah.
is.
I'm pretty sure that's a Decepticon. Look at that logo.
Decepticon,
Come on.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like it changed much in styling from when it was Store Trucks.
No.
No,
No, they haven't changed anything with that.
Just the name. I
just
wonder why they changed
it's
the
pretty
name.
cool.
Yeah, I wonder if they had
Just
some
Sauce.
conflict getting the rights.
Marvel sued them.
Marvel.
Yeah.
Lawyers, you mean? Litigating issues of design? No.
Yeah.
No, never. But it does. We're gonna hear from like their PR rep at some point, going, "It's some
It's Zeus."
incomprehensible. It's Zeus.
It's yeah.
Zeus trucks, not Zos or XOS.
There is a company called Zoox, just for the record, Zoox. So
Yeah.
it's
Uh,
I need
Okay.
somebody to do an IP search before they name things.
At least it's not Bolt EV and
Yes.
Volt by the same company.
Golden Bolt.
Yeah.
And where's
So
the
I gotta-
jolt?
I got to tell
Well,
you,
we talked about the
when,
Jolt on the how do you call it, Treehouse show.
when I see this truck, I don't think Transformer. I think Star Wars.
Eh,
Is it a truck? Is it a battle droid? Is it a truck?
no, my problem with
Is it a
that
battle
is that
droid?
those were the least competent battle droids you could possibly have. So
Oh yeah, they shot worse than a
if they're lucky,
stormtrooper.
they're
But-
Decepticons.
Right. Okay.
yeah. Those battle droids were like cannon fodder. I mean, please.
They really were. I felt
Horrible.
bad
They
for
could
them,
roll.
sort of.
Yeah, they weren't good. Well, thank you, Georgia, for that. We will look forward to seeing how Exos, Zox, Zos, I have no idea, how XOS develops in the future. And speaking of developing the future, this is a better segue than my introduction, Mark.
Thank
Let's go to
goodness.
Mark Coughlin for this week's guest.
That was a bad one.
This week in Tesla, I've got a few stories just to touch upon. The world's largest casting machine showed up in Fremont this week to be installed. This, of course, is for the Model Y, part of its process. And it's so big, in fact, the size of a house, it had to be installed outside the factory, and then they kind of built the factory around it. So it's that big. So this will allow them to punch out a die cast for the Model Y, which combines a number of parts, makes it faster, more solid, quicker, cheaper. And Elon has said that they're going to be moving in this direction, even larger dies. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Another story was that Tesla Insurance has expanded for the first time outside of California. And no, it didn't go to one of the states we expected. In fact, it headed to China. So China now has Tesla Insurance, and they began that announcement just this week. Another point of interest was Elon talking about the dojo in 4D learning for full self-driving. There has been a rewrite going on for full self-driving that apparently is going to be released in 6 to 10 weeks. Again, that's Elon time, so you don't really know. But that amount of time was posted, and Elon also talked about basically a learning program, a learning computer, where they could take in all the video and information that these self-driving cars, these million cars on the road are producing, and use this dojo system to help full self-driving learn, to understand aspects of what's going on, to bring in information, to pull information from all the cars about small cases, about maybe if an accident or a near accident was to happen. They're going to use all this data to be able to mold full self-driving to be better and better. And this large computer system is what Elon was talking about, that they're going to be putting together. It's not going to be immediate, but it's going to be done starting now, and it could obviously last for a long time as they're adding to this, seeing new edge cases, adding more computing power. This is a long-term project that will help full self-driving. The final story I wanted to touch upon this week was in my neck of the woods. The Parks Canada has installed 172 Tesla destination chargers in 28 separate national parks across Canada. Tesla donated the destination chargers to Parks Canada, and not only were they Tesla regular level 2 destination chargers, but they were also the J1772s. So not only can Tesla charge on an L2 at a national park, but so can any other electric vehicle that takes the standard 1772. So very good on Tesla for donating that, and Parks Canada for getting them installed in a fairly quick fashion, as those 172 units are now available. So you can now head out to the park and charge while you're walking around in nature.
Oh,
So sweet.
that's nice.
Pretty
Well,
good.
thank you so much. And do catch up with Mark on the Tesla Life on Twitter, at the Tesla Life on Twitter, I should say. His weekly show, the Tesla Life, happens just by sheer coincidence to record on Wednesdays. And
Just an hour before this one,
on
yeah.
Wednesdays. Did you just say you scooped this show? Is that what you just said? Because
I just said that, yeah. I tried to say that under my breath, but that didn't work.
But boy, what
Scooping
drives
some
us.
fertilizer.
So do watch the Tesla Life, and do follow the Tesla Life on Twitter for more details on that. Let's go to our next story, and we're going to go back to Tony, who has some news about something about fluoride, and it has nothing to do with toothpaste. I don't know. I'm lost. Tony, help me.
Yeah, so this is one, Paul's not on the show this week, and I know that every time I love talking about the future and research and development and breakthroughs, and Paul always says, I'll believe it when I see it, and just totally sucks the wind out of all of my sails. So Paul's not here, so suck it, Guzik.
Wrong.
But, okay, so Toyota, as we know, the bane of hybrid and EV owners and enthusiasts, Toyota, who introduced the Prius in Japan in 1997, introduced it in the United States in 2001, has come out with the Gen 2, the Gen 3, the Gen 4, and the plug-in, has still yet to introduce a viable full EV that appears to be more than anything more than a compliance vehicle. And they've been saying, we'll get around to it after we invent a solid state battery. Well, according to Car and Driver, a solid state battery is coming in 2025 from Toyota. Now, pros and cons, of course. The advantage to solid state batteries is that they are supposed to store a higher energy density, which means that they will pack more power in the same space as a traditional lithium-ion battery. The downside is that solid-state batteries tend to degrade faster. And Toyota has acknowledged this, and they've said that they are looking into how to get past that hurdle. But they had originally planned on featuring the solid-state pack in vehicles being used in Japan in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. But unfortunately, that was pushed off until now the Olympics are in 2021. And rather than waiting a year, Toyota wanted to go ahead and tell everyone that yes, they did in fact have some solid state batteries that they've been testing, and they have produced in quantities that they can do full EVs around the Olympic Village. This is kind of a big deal. Solid state batteries, kind of the holy grail, if you will, of battery technology. So, hopefully we'll start seeing some more information about this, and hopefully they'll come faster than 2025. Because, honestly, like we were saying, that, the battery technology and some of it is price. If we can get less expensive batteries that can pack a large amount of power, then we can start bringing the price of cars down into a price point that more and more average Americans and people around the world would be able to purchase them, which means we can start phasing out the internal combustion engines and going more electric.
I would say though, as the owner of older EVs, you don't really want to see more battery degradation. You want to see it
Right.
less.
In fact, Toyota has been saying that they don't want to move to lithium ion because they degrade faster than nickel metal hydride, which is what they have traditionally used in their hybrids. So, I look forward to seeing this, as Chelsea might say.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I just kind of feel confused in that they're going with that sulfur electrolyte. And yet in the same article, it talks Samsung has gone directly to the root of the problem, which is the lithium, and others have gone with the silver carbon composite. So why are we dealing with the sulfur electrolyte? And considering the fact that they have to kind of basically do this weird hand in a dry environment manufacturing, it's like, what are these artisanal batteries, or how many are you going to make every year? Is this like, it's going to be organic free range hummus batteries that will make 10 a year? So how are you going to ramp that up for actual production for a mass marketing car?
That's
There's
how
a
they've
lot
been
of
making the Mirai
questions.
until now, so they can just replace that line.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my
Put it in
God!
the-
It's a Bugatti of cheap cars somehow.
Put it in the Toyota Crown.
I'm going to be Paul here and go, I'll believe it when I see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I think
easy to
that's
make
the
promises
appropriate
about
thing.
2025.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 years
Because it
out.
won't get here.
And,
Also, if it
and let's be clear, Toyota's led the way with like hybrid cars, and they've been leaders in certainly many other parts of making cars. No question about that. But they're a very conservative company, and the idea that they're going to roll out some new tech in the next 5 years and debut it on the market, geez, it took them 15 years to like get comfortable with lithium ion batteries, and they're still not comfortable with them.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
So they're going to quick charge a battery that can't handle the heat. That'll be interesting.
Well, yeah, that's the promise of solid state, is that you can charge fast, and they're much more heat tolerant. And so when solid state gets here, it will be a step change and it'll be great. But I think as a lot of these problems get worked out, they're going to roll into existing battery lines, and those, it won't be as big a change because we'll be making progress along the way.
Yeah. Well, speaking of progress along the way, Casey has a story about decent fast charging.
I was trying to segue it into quick charging.
I see.
My job, buddy. My job.
Okay. So
I've got the
Tritium.
bad segues on this show, not you.
Tritium has introduced a 175 kilowatt DC fast charger, and it is liquid cooled, which means it doesn't make that huge racket that some of the other units do, and it is, well, obviously that also makes it quiet, but it also allows it to be smaller. So at 175 kilowatts, there aren't too many. I don't think there are. Technically, the Porsche can take it. It says. So there aren't too many cars on the market that can take this yet, but it's coming. It is coming. And also with liquid cooling, sometimes it tends to be cheaper. It handles the cold a little better. They have a cold weather kit that allows it to get down to negative 30 degrees centigrade, negative 22 Fahrenheit for those of us around the States. And I thought it was pretty exciting.
The most important part of this that I thought was really cool was it has a handshake built in, so that
Steal
when
my
you
thunder.
What's that?
I said steal my thunder. I said,
Go ahead.
But
If you want, no, it's your story. Go ahead.
Sorry. So what this will do is it'll allow other EVs to have that Tesla-like quick charge experience. So you don't have to fiddle with cards or phone apps. So you just, once you get there, you unplug, open up, and then you plug in the handle, and your car will take care of the rest. All you got to do is just plug in, charge, and then leave, and it'll handle itself.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest pains in my butt when I had the Leaf, was that there were all kinds of, there was AeroVironment and Blink and Charge Point, and I had a whole, my cup holder full of membership cards and apps. And we had different ones at work and different ones in the city, and if I wanted to go on a road trip. And sometimes the readers would work, sometimes they wouldn't. Sometimes you'd have to actually call them to get them to enable it because the reader wasn't working. And, and all of that goes away when you have a system where you just plug it into the car, it identifies your car and identifies that you're a member of the network. You already have an account set up, it already has a fixed billing rate, and it just works. So yeah, this system that they're using, ISO, I think it's 15118, was actually designed for vehicle to grid. And they, with that, you have to have all this communication to say which way is it's bidirectional energy flow. So you have to be able to either charge or discharge. And they said, hey, since this standard communication standard already exists, let's use it for charging, because that's half of bidirectional. And so I think that was really clever. And this is what is going to make EVs much more acceptable, because you don't want to have to join 5 networks before you can go on a trip. You want to be able to plug in your car and have it just work. You know, that's when my mom would be comfortable with an electric car.
And not even
also,
join 5 networks, but join 3 networks and realize you have to drive past 2 in order to get one that you belong to.
or they have the partnerships, and then when you try it, it actually doesn't work for you. Those are fun too.
Yes. So when we get to the point where people are driving or using their app and they're choosing where to go based on the cost of the electricity, just like we do now with gasbuddy.com and other apps to find cheap gas, then we know we've gone mainstream.
And then you also have the advantage over gas that even at the gas station, you're still filling with your cards or the apps or the wands. This gets rid of all of that. So, I mean, it is something we're complaining about, but only because the way it's been implemented, although technically it's the same as gas, it has been worse. And so with this 15118 and with the Tesla superchargers, you don't have to think about it. You just plug in and go about your business. So
Well,
go to the bathroom, get a snack, whatever.
You do have to have some, for this
You have
handshake
one
to
account.
work. You have to have some account with the company there, right? And it has to be resident in the car at some level so that the car can communicate that information down the line.
Well, the card just says, hey, I'm card 5,000. And if you're already a member of either that network or one of their partner networks, you'll say, hey, I know card 5,000. Hit them up and I'll charge them back to the credit card later.
Right.
Yes, but yeah, as Mark can attest to, and as I can attest to, and anyone in northern climes, when it's minus, or it's 12 degrees centigrade, minus 12 degrees centigrade. Is that like 0? Is that 0?
Absolute
0
zero
Fahrenheit? I don't know.
We're Americans. We don't know this.
We don't know that. Okay. So every winter I can do the conversion. Every summer I forget it. But like you were saying, I mean, there's you've got your mittens or your gloves, and you're fiddling with your wallet, and you're trying to get out your one card in order to feed it into the thing, and the wind is blowing and you're shivering, and the gas is coming out ever so slow because the pump is frozen. Yeah, just to be able to get out, plug the thing in, and get back in your car is a luxury.
And you can get back in because these don't explode when you plug them in and then get a little static electricity.
Well, there's that.
So you don't gotta stand outside for 10 minutes.
Well, all I can say is I can't charge my phone to 80% in 15 minutes, so I think it's a great move forward.
Yeah.
There's a
right?
there's a Huawei phone they'll charge in 20 minutes they'll charge to 80%, but One, we can't really get Huawei here, and two,
Yeah,
that's a lot
nobody
to
wants
choose
Huawei here.
right.
It would be like a TikTok phone. I'm going to pass. Sorry. My lack of trust in some Chinese made and manufactured and designed software products probably isn't what it should be, but there it is. Anyway, that's awesome. Let's unfortunately we have hit our hour for the week, so let's do some shout outs and go home. Let me start with Casey Green.
Hey there. So I've got some videos up on YouTube at youtube.com/Casey Green. That's KACEYGREEN. Most recently, there was the gasless station, name courtesy of Patrick Dick, and I've got a couple more in the edit deck that I need to polish up a little bit and get on the web for you to see. Take a look.
Thank you so much, Casey. Patrick, the gentleman in the What Drives Us shirt.
Hello. Thanks. Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Beeline Delivery. So we were talking about urban delivery and zero emission. It's harder to get more zero emission than this. They have cargo bikes and they deliver all throughout Portland. They have pedal assist so they can haul heavy stuff and still make it up hills. And so shout out to Beeline. I'm also with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. And we're doing online meetings. We just had one last week. It was pretty cool. And occasionally I blog at carswithcords.net. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Mark, I bet you have something to plug.
I would definitely like to ask you who's viewing this right now, please give us a thumbs up on the video. That helps us. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? It's free. Go ahead, click on it. It helps support the show. It gets us in front of more eyeballs. So we would really appreciate that. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Coughlin. And listen to his very wise words, too. Georgia McKenzie, anything to plug this week?
I have tons to plug this week. I
Yay!
want to remind everybody to please hit like and subscribe because we can use you to help bump our numbers up. And don't forget our GoFundMe. We need a new computer. And that $530 is not cutting the cost of what, $4,000 for the machine. So toss a little in the bucket, and I promise you, next week it'll be all musical. It won't be all musical. I'm just throwing that out there.
Figuratively.
We'll sing every article that we've got. Sure.
Georgia will sing every article.
In 2025, I promise.
In 2025, if Toyota releases a solid-state battery vehicle, we will sing every article. That's what we'll do.
That's Georgia McKenzie, care of.
Everybody's and stay safe, everybody, especially in Northern California, because right now, yeah, this does look like a hellmouth scene. So we've all landed in Sunnyvale.
Yay!
Wow.
Last and not least, my partner in crime, Mr. Tony Schaefer, bring us home.
I want to make sure that you never miss a show. So like Mark said, make sure and subscribe to What Drives Us. Hit that notification bell and you will always be notified when we upload a new show, when we upload our shorts. If not our underwear, it's individual news articles. We don't upload the shorts, we put them on flagpoles, completely different visual.
They wear booty shorts.
Make sure and read the news that we're reading on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/whatdrivesus. Leave us comments. We can leave us suggestive comments. We enjoy those the most. You can suggest news items, but make sure you like the page. And if you do use Flipboard as a news aggregator, look for the What Drives Us magazine on Flipboard. And there you'll find the articles that we talk about every week, and then a lot of the articles we don't have time to get to. And on a personal note, if this is so off topic, but on a personal note, if you are looking for organically grown gourmet garlic, make sure and check out sassygarlic.com. So it's a gentleman named Jeff. He's a good personal friend of mine. He just harvested a whole bunch of garlic And this is high-end gourmet chef level garlic that he makes available to anyone. And this is the stuff that the high-end restaurants purchase. So if you're looking to spice up a recipe, check out sassygarlic.com.
Is it good with Soylent Green?
That is what makes it so good. He fertilizes with Soylent Green.
Oh,
Right.
Just curious. I've been buying cheap garlic all these years, consuming junk.
Right. You see, you don't know what they fertilize with, but at least with sassygarlic.com, you know what goes into the garlic.
There you go. Well, as always, I want to thank Michael Mannering for our amazing theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. As we may have mentioned a couple times, I'm going to mention it again, youtube.com/whatdrivesus. Go there, hit subscribe, please. That's a wonderful way to help us, and we appreciate your support. Costs you nothing, and it helps us a great deal. Please look at our GoFundMe. We are desperately trying to raise money, and we will at some point resort to violence and crime. So that's not a threat. I'm not threatening anyone out there. We wouldn't hurt any of you, but we may end up having to hurt random strangers. So, kicking a buck.
That's what happens when you threaten people.
Just $1, you know what I mean? Like,
Give us $5 or Georgia gets it.
that's it. Right, exactly. The puppy gets killed if you don't donate.
That was so Blazing Saddles right there, Georgia.
It was. Thank you, Georgia. That was beautiful.
He's not kidding.
He's not. I don't think he's kidding.
And you can find those links to our GoFundMe all over the place on our Facebook page, on Twitter @WhatDrivesUs, Facebook.com/WhatDrivesUs. Do please check it out and consider just tossing us a buck or two. We would greatly appreciate it. As always, I want to thank our amazing panel, Patrick Connor, Tony Schaefer, Mark Coughlin, Casey Green, and Georgia McKenzie. Thank you so much. And of course, thanks to all of you out there who watch and or listen. Download us next week to find out what drives us. See you next week, everybody. Drive safe.
Stay charged. Stay safe.
The